So a lot of the time people judge and they create a conclusion not knowing the backstory. So often at time a lot of people would make assumptions about not knowing my backstory, not knowing that I had responsibilities, all the disappointments that I had come across. Like through my own strength and through my own perseverance, I got here. Everything that I had to fight for to bring myself here right now, like everything. And people are often judged. They're like, oh, you know, she had it simple, or she thinks she's God's gift, especially before I fell, basically before I got sick. You know, a lot of people didn't know my backstory. Nobody at work knew my backstory. Nobody at, you know, nobody in my personal lives ever knew my backstory. And even to a certain degree, my certain friends, very few knew my backstory. You know, like my responsibilities at home, you know, who I was responsible for, what I was responsible of taking care of at home. You know, I even went through financial hardship to support. So, like, my responsibilities. So a lot of people would judge. I mean, it used to piss me off, especially with, I don't know if you read the book The Game. Like, I came from a place where I was bullied. You know, it was like pretty much the ugly duckly becoming the swan. Was pretty much my look. As far as responsibilities, they were the same throughout. So even if I look like the swan, I was concerned daily about financial stability, you know, especially carrying my responsibilities financially. So, yeah, it was just really stupid that the book The Game had come out, and in it was like a bunch of guys, and they were like analyzing women, beautiful women, you know, and they were pissed off, why aren't beautiful women, you know, approaching me? And then they came up with all these different strategies. Group of men living together, you know, like supporting each other, coming up with all these different solutions, not realizing that women were just the same as them. Whatever their outer shells were, I mean, their demons inside is what they were being blinded by. You know, it pissed me off where they just looked at it as like these superficial women, and they were not. Like I myself, I know when I was trying to, I was in the journey of finding my soulmate. Who I was going to marry, and I was excited about it. I was like really looking for somebody who would see me and the panic I was in, you know, like financially and responsibility wise, because I was literally like balancing so many parts of myself, right, including my insecurities. And I was you know, I was looking for someone that would walk with me, explain to me about certain things that I didn't understand, or to like figure things out about my life, didn't know, or, you know. And superficially, it wasn't, like I was being misunderstood. It wasn't explaining this. And then when I read The Game, oh, it pissed me off to no levels. You know, they weren't all that great. There was this word called negging, where they would, like, you know, tell women, like, be like, oh, you're not so pretty or whatever, and then the women would kind of go towards them. It wasn't because, you know, they love being insulted by any means, but they were just looking for, in my belief, is looking for a guy who didn't look at the superficial part of them. You know, that they were just looking for, you know, let me just put it like, you know, people that read The Game and took to that literature. I mean, and it wasn't until I fell and broke down, that's when I was humanized. Humanized meaning like overlooked. Like that's when I was like, just because I had my mental breakdown, oh, You know, I wasn't the beauty they were looking for. So they themselves were superficial. You know, like I became one of them. You know, I'm broken. And I guess they didn't pride themselves or hold value or respect in themselves to even consider me as an option, right? Because now I'm one of them. Mental health problem, what have you. Like I'm just, you know, I'm broken. Right? So stupid. So yeah, it's funny how I wasn't humanized when I was superficial. So what have you. So yeah, that pissed me off to no degree. You know, I don't care, non-gender specific, but because it was the game and the audience was more so men, that's what pissed me off to no, like just royal, like to no ends, like royally. I wasn't a human being anymore, you know. It was just so what I was looking for never happened, you know. I never did end up meeting the person who I was looking for. None of it. None of it. By chance in one of the journey, like I was just picking myself up. Just picking myself up. And again, I was misunderstood. And then drop like buckets, like ton of bricks. Forget about buckets. Just say I was dropped. I think I've been like dropped so many times. I was like, anyhow, okay, so I was fallen. You know, like I was suffering and walking, you know, with this look that people misunderstood superficially. It's not that everyone who looks a certain way, walks a certain way, is like, you know, has a perfect life or, you know, has it easy or thinks highly of themselves. That's not, we all have our own tornadoes, you know. I remember when I was working, okay, so often at times, like I just wanted to say, hey, help me, I just need to get this job, please hire me, please hire me, please hire me, I have so many responsibilities, this would help so much, you know, for the position that I'm in. But I couldn't say any of it because you can't say it in interviews or, you know, I never even said it to relationships. I didn't know how to say it. I mean, when I spoke in certain relationships, they'd say don't talk. And then when I didn't talk in relationships, they said talk. So it was like, you know, a lot of contradictions. You know, be the yes man. No, don't be the yes man. Be the no man. You know, just in the workplace was another bunch of contradictions. You know, find a solution, don't find a solution, be the yes man, be the no man, don't be the yes man, be the no man, don't be the no man, have an opinion. But yeah, like in sales, like I had no confidence whatsoever. I was just kind of there. I didn't know where to be. Just, you know, I'm just holding on for job security, you know, to keep myself afloat financially. But like I was in a job in sales and I never fit in. Like I never found myself fitting in. You know, I had to be a certain way to compete with other men and women. You know, as much as I like to say all women, there was a lot of men too. They're all dressed up in nice suits and, you know, cruising expensive like Rolex watches and, you know, having their glass of wine or vodka or whiskey or what have you. And the women like dressed to the nines. Not even my style of clothing, for God's sakes, Had to have the latest shoes to compete, the best suits. Even my casual attire had to be fantastic, because you never know. I never fit in. And then naturally you're going out in public with all these people, whether it be for work, whether it be for networking, whether it be for colleagues. And then you're like, okay, well, I got to do this for my career, for financial support. So here I am meeting all these, guys and stuff who only see the physical part of me, not knowing that I'm more than just like this physical, look. And a lot of the time, I don't know, I felt like either they thought I was too good for them or not too good for them. So whatever the book, The Game, was preaching really was so stupid and absurd to me and all the women who read it, because it's really incorrect. Again, mind you, there are people like that, and then there's other people that are not like that. Everywhere you go, there's going to be groups of people. So trying to, again, remember my first couple of videos, I was saying, I was putting them into the stupid basket, my thoughts. That's pretty much what these people are doing too. There's a stupid basket. Realize that it's not 100% of the world, much like, the fight for freedom. It takes groups of people to create the great world that we live in, right? In North America and all that great stuff. So women, different types of women, just like there's different types of men, different groups, not everybody thinks one way. And then later on I found out, just from observing, that all men and women are all different. They all have their own different preferences. So some men like BBWs, and some men like trophy wives. Some men have a fetish for feet. There's so many different preferences. Certain men like different specific ethnicity. I had no idea until a point. I was, as much as I was being misunderstood, I was also misunderstanding people, and I thought to myself, maybe that's what's happening in both ways, kind of thing. For me, to the to people, non-gender specific, and to the men, to the women, and then vice versa. Yeah, so basically here I am to try and create an external image to keep a level of income going, a level of stability going. And then here's a book preaching stupid shit. Just because I'm wearing something, just because I look a certain way, my clothes are fit a certain way or look, it just wasn't me. And then here I am in sales, competing with all these salespeople. They're looking a certain way, talking a certain way, and I had to adapt. Constantly feeling like an outsider, always. But the income drove me, and it wasn't like I was getting exponentially great amounts of money either. It was just peanuts. For my title, I always had to settle for peanuts. I couldn't understand why other people were making more. But yeah, I always fought. I was always suffering, so it's funny how I wasn't humanized then equally. So yeah, I believe that no matter how someone looks, a lot of the misunderstandings is driven and understood from like what we see on TV. I don't know, with Desperate Housewives and all that junk, right? Desperate House of Atlanta, Desperate Housewives of New York City, Desperate Housewives of Beverly Hills, Desperate Housewives of the yada yada yada. I'm not naming them all, but you know, those shows of like millionaires and billionaires. You know, if you're not a millionaire and billionaire, you know for a fact there's other individuals out there that are not the same either. So not everybody, just because they look like that, Desperate Housewives, they have money at their disposal, they can become like airheads for the sake of TV, or even in real life, who knows? I don't know them. You know, that are privileged and all this shit. The whole world is not like that. That are just superficial beings inside and out. So stop misunderstanding them. The world isn't exactly what you see on TV. Just like poverty, just like rich, just like middle class. You know, they just point out certain things, and a lot of the time it's just for like sheer entertainment. It's just funny how in the medieval times the kings had the court jesters who were their gophers for entertainment, right? It really didn't have too much of a level of like level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Value as it does now, right? Am I wrong for that? Because I feel like a lot of the celebrities and people that we see on TV now, I might be offending people. Again, I'm zero taking myself out of the equation, because here I am in social media in front of the camera, right? So I'd be equally the same. All I'm saying is that it's just a funny observation of mine that something that was devalued, you know, during the medieval time, with the during the times of the kings and queens. You know, court jesters were there to just dance and prance around or sing and what have you and entertain. You know, aren't we all entertained, or aren't you all entertained? You know, like now they make millions of dollars for that profession. It's funny. It's funny how we hold value to them. Women and men running after all these celebrities. You know, like, oh, like just in complete admiration when something like this profession was devalued back then. In the medieval, like in front of the kings and queens. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today.
Subscribe.